Camila Rodriguez stared at the 5 crumpled $10 bills in her palm, her heart sinking with each count. $50. That's all she had left after paying rent, utilities, groceries, and her daughter's school supplies. $50 to celebrate Sophia and Isabella's 6th birthday, the most important day of their young lives. The twins sat on their shared bed in the tiny one-bedroom apartment, carefully arranging their few stuffed animals in a circle. Their matching red dresses, the brightest clothes they owned, made them look like little angels despite the worn fabric. They deserved so much more than what their mother could provide. "Mommy, can we really go to the restaurant today?" Sophia asked, her dark eyes sparkling with hope. Isabella nodded eagerly beside her sister, both girls waiting for confirmation of the promised celebration. Camila forced a smile, tucking the bills into her purse. "Of course, my babies. We're going to have the best birthday party ever." But inside, shame burned in her chest. Other children their age got elaborate parties, expensive gifts, and rooms full of friends. Her daughters would get hamburgers at Danny's diner and maybe a small cake if she could negotiate with the waitress. The weight of single motherhood pressed down on her shoulders like a heavy blanket she couldn't remove. 6 years ago, everything had been different. She was a college senior, studying nursing, head over heels in love with Nathaniel Brooks. He was pre-law, ambitious, and charming. They had plans, dreams, a whole future mapped out together. Then she got pregnant and everything changed in a single conversation. "I'm not ready for this, Camila," he had said, pacing around her dorm room like a caged animal. "We're too young. I have law school, you have your career. A baby would ruin everything." "Babies?" she had corrected him quietly. "The doctor says it's twins." The color drained from his face. Within a week he was gone. No forwarding address, no explanation to their friends, nothing. Just a note saying he was sorry and that she deserved better than someone who would run away. The cruel irony was that he was right about that part. Camila shook herself back to the present. Her daughters were watching her with concern, their intuitive 6-year-old minds picking up on her distress. "Are you sad, Mommy?" Isabella asked, climbing into her lap. Sophia joined them, and suddenly Camila was surrounded by small arms and the sweet scent of children's shampoo. "No, sweetheart. I'm happy. Today is your special day and I love you both so much." And she did love them. Every sacrifice, every sleepless night working double shifts at the hospital, every moment of exhaustion was worth it for these two perfect human beings. They were smart, kind, and resilient. They never complained about their second-hand clothes or the fact that they shared everything. They just loved their mother fiercely and found joy in the smallest things. "Can we wear our party dresses now?" Sophia asked. "You're already wearing them, silly," Camila laughed. "And you both look beautiful." She had bought the red dresses at a thrift store 3 months ago, saving a little each week until she could afford them. They were the girls' favorite clothes, saved for special occasions. Today definitely qualified. The walk to Danny's diner took 15 minutes. Camila couldn't afford the bus fare for all 3 of them, but the girls didn't mind. They skipped along the sidewalk, pointing out dogs and flowers, their excitement infectious. Other families drove past in nice cars, heading to birthday parties at fancy venues, but Sophia and Isabella were perfectly content with their simple celebration. Danny's diner sat on the corner of 5th and Main, a small family restaurant with red checkered tablecloths and the smell of home cooking. It wasn't glamorous, but it was clean and warm, and the staff had always been kind to them. Camila had called ahead to see if they could manage a small cake for $20. The manager had agreed, promising chocolate with sprinkles. As they walked through the door, Camila's stomach twisted with familiar anxiety. $50 had to cover lunch for 3, the cake, tip, and maybe a small gift from the diner's prize machine if she was lucky. She had learned to stretch money in ways her younger self never could have imagined, but it never got easier to feel like she wasn't giving her children enough. The hostess seated them at a corner booth, the red vinyl seats slightly worn but comfortable. The twins bounced with excitement as they looked at the colorful menu, though Camila already knew they would order chicken nuggets and fries. It was their favorite meal and one of the few items she could afford for both of them. "This is the best birthday ever," Isabella declared, and Sophia nodded in agreement. Camila's heart swelled with love and broke with guilt at the same time. Her daughters found magic in the simplest moments, and she was determined to make this day special for them, even with only $50 to her name. But as she opened the menu, pretending to study options she already knew by heart, she had no idea that across the restaurant, someone from her past was watching their table with shock and recognition dawning in his eyes. Have you ever had to choose between your own comfort and your children's happiness? What would you sacrifice to see your kids smile? Share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming stories that will touch your soul. Nathaniel Brooks nearly choked on his coffee as he looked across the crowded diner. There, in a corner booth, sat the woman who had haunted his dreams for 6 years. Camila Rodriguez, more beautiful than he remembered, wearing a green blouse that complemented her dark skin perfectly. But it wasn't just her presence that made his hands shake around his coffee cup. 2 little girls sat across from her, identical in every way except for the small braids in their hair. They wore matching red dresses and had Camila's warm brown eyes. His daughters. The twins he had abandoned before they were even born. The business meeting he was supposed to be having faded into background noise. His client, James Sullivan, continued talking about quarterly projections, but Nathaniel couldn't focus on anything except the family 20 feet away from him. The family that should have been his. "Are you listening to me, Brooks?" James asked, following his gaze across the restaurant. "Oh, pretty woman. But we need to focus on this deal." "I know her," Nathaniel whispered, his voice barely audible above the diner's chatter. "Lucky you. Can we get back to business?" But Nathaniel couldn't tear his eyes away. One of the twins, the one with pink ribbons in her braids, was showing her sister something on the children's menu. They were giggling, their faces lit up with pure joy. Camila watched them with such love and tenderness that it made his chest ache. He had imagined this moment thousands of times over the years. What would happen if he ever saw them again? In his fantasies he was always braver, better prepared. In reality he felt like that scared 22-year-old who had run away from responsibility and love. The twins looked exactly like Camila, but he could see hints of himself in their expressions. The way one of them tilted her head when thinking, the stubborn set of their small jaws when disagreeing about something. These were his children and he didn't even know their names. "Nathaniel." James snapped his fingers in front of his face. "What is going on with you?" "Those are my daughters," he said quietly, still staring across the room. James followed his gaze again, this time more carefully. "The twins? You have kids?" "I didn't know about them." "Well, I knew she was pregnant when I left, but I didn't know they were born healthy or what they looked like or—" He trailed off, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what he had missed. 6 years of birthdays, first steps, first words, bedtime stories, scraped knees and goodnight kisses. 6 years of watching them grow into these beautiful little people while he built his empire and convinced himself he had made the right choice. The waitress brought the family their food, and Nathaniel watched Camila carefully divide the chicken nuggets between 2 plates, making sure each daughter got exactly the same amount. Everything about her movements showed how much she loved these children, how she put their needs before her own. "She's struggling," he observed, noting the way Camila looked at the check when it came, the slight hesitation before she pulled out what looked like her last bills. "How do you know?" "The way she's counting money. The fact that they're sharing 1 order of fries between 3 people. The girls' clothes are nice but old." His business mind, trained to notice details and patterns, was cataloging everything he saw. James leaned back in his seat, studying his business partner with new interest. "So what are you going to do about it?" "I don't know," Nathaniel admitted. "I ruined everything 6 years ago. I was a coward. I chose my career over love, over family. Why would she want to see me now? Maybe because those little girls deserve to know their father?" The simple truth of that statement hit him like a physical blow. His daughters, celebrating their 6th birthday in a rundown diner because their mother was doing her best with whatever resources she had. Meanwhile, he had more money than he could spend in several lifetimes, sitting in the same restaurant by pure coincidence. No, not coincidence. Fate. It had to be. He watched as the waitress brought out a small chocolate cake with 6 candles. The twins' faces absolutely glowed with excitement as Camila helped them make wishes and blow out the candles together. Other diners turned to smile at the sweet scene, but Nathaniel felt tears pricking his eyes. This was what he had given up. This pure, innocent joy. These moments of perfect love between a mother and her children. He had traded it all for stock options and board meetings, and now he could see exactly what that exchange had cost him. "I've been searching for her," he admitted to James. "Hired private investigators, checked social media, everything. She changed her last name after college, moved around a lot. I lost track of her 3 years ago. And now she's right there." "Now she's right there," he repeated, his voice thick with emotion. The cake-cutting ceremony was ending, and Camila was helping the girls clean chocolate frosting off their faces. One of them said something that made all 3 of them laugh, and the sound carried across the restaurant like music. His family being happy without him. Building a life that didn't include him because he had been too afraid to stay and fight for what mattered. "I have to go talk to them," he said suddenly. Are you sure you're ready for that conversation? James asked gently. This isn't a business negotiation. This is real life with real consequences. Nathaniel stood up slowly, his legs unsteady beneath him. I've been ready for 6 years. I just didn't know it until now. He left money on the table for their unfinished meal and walked across the diner on trembling legs, his heart pounding so hard he could hear it over the ambient noise. With each step, he got closer to the most important conversation of his life. The twins noticed him first, looking up curiously as a tall stranger in an expensive blue suit approached their table. Camila was wiping down the table and didn't see him until he was standing right beside their booth. When she looked up and saw his face, her whole world stopped. Camila's fork clattered against her plate as she stared up at the man who had destroyed and defined her life in equal measure. Nathaniel Brooks stood beside their table, older and more polished than she remembered, but still heartbreakingly handsome. His dark hair was styled professionally now, and his blue suit probably cost more than she made in 3 months, but his eyes held the same warmth that had first made her fall in love. "Hello, Camila," he said softly, his voice exactly as she remembered it. The twins looked between their mother and the stranger, sensing the strange tension that had suddenly filled their corner of the diner. Sophia, always the braver of the two, spoke first. "Mommy, who is this man?" Camila opened her mouth but no words came. How do you explain to 6-year-olds that the stranger standing before them is the father who abandoned them before birth? How do you introduce someone who chose to leave rather than stay and love them? Nathaniel started, then stopped, looking at Camila for permission. "This is Nathaniel," Camila finally managed, her voice steady despite the chaos in her heart. "He's someone I knew a long time ago." Isabella tilted her head, studying him with the intense curiosity only children possess. "Are you here for our birthday party?" The innocent question nearly broke Nathaniel's composure. His daughters, asking if he was there to celebrate with them, not knowing they were celebrating the 6th anniversary of his biggest mistake. "I didn't know it was your birthday," he said honestly, sitting down uninvited in the booth beside Camila. She tensed at his closeness but didn't move away. "Happy birthday to both of you." "Thank you," they chorused politely, the way Camila had taught them to respond to adult attention. "How old are you turning?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. 6, Sophia announced proudly. "And we're twins, but I'm older by 4 minutes. "Only 4 minutes, Isabella protested. "That doesn't really count." "It counts," Sophia insisted. "Right, Mommy?" Camila was barely listening to their familiar argument. She was studying Nathaniel's face, looking for signs of the boy she had loved so completely. He was there, underneath the expensive clothes and confident bearing. But there was something else now, something that looked like regret. "What are you doing here, Nathaniel?" she asked quietly, keeping her voice low so the girls wouldn't pick up on her distress. "Business meeting," he said, gesturing vaguely toward the table where James still sat, pretending not to watch their interaction. "I had no idea you would be here. I've been looking for you for years." "Looking for me?" The words came out sharper than she intended. "Mommy, are you okay?" Isabella asked, reaching across the table to touch her mother's hand. "You look sad." Camila forced a smile for her daughter's benefit. "I'm fine, baby. Just surprised to see an old friend." Friend. The word tasted bitter in her mouth, but it was easier than explaining the truth. How could she tell them that this man had held her heart in his hands and then crushed it? That she had loved him so much she would have followed him anywhere, done anything to make their relationship work? "Where have you been living?" Nathaniel asked, his eyes drinking in every detail of her face. "I hired investigators, checked everywhere I could think of." "Here and there," she answered vaguely. "We moved around a lot when the girls were little. Ended up here about 2 years ago." She didn't mention the parade of tiny apartments, the jobs that barely paid enough to cover rent, the nights she cried herself to sleep wondering how she was going to make it all work. She didn't tell him about the time she had to choose between paying for heat or buying groceries, or how many meals she had skipped so the twins could eat. "You look good," he said and meant it. Despite the obvious financial struggles he was observing, Camila was radiant. Motherhood suited her. The soft curves of her face had matured into stunning beauty, and there was a strength in her posture that hadn't been there in college. "So do you," she admitted reluctantly. Success looked good on him. The uncertain boy she had known had become a confident man, the kind who commanded attention when he walked into a room. "Can we have more cake?" Sophia asked, breaking the awkward tension between the adults. "You each had a piece already," Camila said gently. "That's enough sugar for today." "But it's our birthday," Isabella wheedled. "The rule doesn't change just because it's your birthday," Camila replied firmly but kindly. Besides, we need to get going soon. Mrs. Patterson is expecting us back. Nathaniel noted the mention of what was obviously a babysitter, filing away another piece of information about their life. Camila was raising these children essentially alone, working and managing everything by herself. Who's Mrs. Patterson? He asked. Our neighbor, Sophia answered before Camila could respond. She watches us when Mommy has to work at night. She makes really good cookies. Mommy works at the hospital, Isabella added proudly. She helps people feel better when they're sick. Of course she did. Camila had always wanted to be a nurse, always wanted to take care of people. It was one of the things he had loved most about her, that endless capacity for compassion. That's wonderful, he said, looking at Camila with genuine admiration. You finished your degree? She nodded. Took longer than planned, obviously, but I got there. He could only imagine how difficult it must have been, going to nursing school with twin babies, probably working whatever job she could find to pay for everything. The guilt that had been eating at him for years intensified tenfold. Mommy, can the nice man come to our house and see our room? Sophia asked suddenly. Oh, sweetie, I don't think. Camila began. We have bunk beds, Isabella told Nathaniel excitedly. And a fish named Bubbles. He's blue like your shirt. The innocent invitation from his daughters nearly destroyed his composure. They were so open, so trusting, so ready to welcome him into their world without knowing who he was or what he had done. It was more than he deserved and everything he wanted. Maybe another time, Camila said diplomatically, beginning to gather their things. We really do need to go. Nathaniel watched her count out bills to pay the check, saw her hesitate over the tip amount. Without thinking, he reached for his wallet. Please let me, he said, placing a $50 bill on the table. No, Camila said immediately, her pride flaring. We don't need your money. But he had already seen the relief in her eyes, the way her shoulders relaxed when she realized she wouldn't have to choose between tipping the waitress and having gas money for the week. It's their birthday, he said simply. Please. The twins looked between the adults, confused by the tension but happy that someone wanted to help celebrate their special day. After a long moment, Camila nodded stiffly. Thank you. As they prepared to leave, Nathaniel made a decision that would change all their lives. Camila, can I talk to you? Alone? Just for 5 minutes? She looked at him for a long moment, then at her daughters, then back at him. Girls, go wash your hands in the bathroom, she instructed. Stay together. When they were gone, she turned to face him fully for the first time. You have 5 minutes. The bathroom door swung shut behind the twins, leaving Camila and Nathaniel alone for the first time in 6 years. The diner continued its normal rhythm around them, but their corner booth felt like an island suspended in time. Camila sat with her back straight, hands folded in her lap, every line of her body radiating defensive tension. She had learned to protect herself and her daughters from disappointment, and she wasn't about to lower her guard now, no matter how her heart was racing at his nearness. 5 minutes, she reminded him, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions churning inside her. Nathaniel took a deep breath, knowing this might be his only chance to explain himself. I know I have no right to be here, no right to ask anything of you after what I did. You're right. You don't. Her directness shouldn't have surprised him. The Camila he remembered had always been honest, even when the truth was difficult. But there was a hardness in her now that hadn't been there before, a protective shell built from years of disappointment and struggle. I was a coward, he continued, forcing himself to meet her eyes. When you told me about the pregnancy, I panicked. All I could think about was law school and my career and how a family would change everything. It did change everything, she said quietly. Just not for you. The simple statement hit him like a physical blow. She was right, of course. He had run away to preserve his plans, leaving her to face all the changes alone. I know you have no reason to believe me, but not a day has gone by that I haven't regretted leaving. Not a single day. Camila studied his face, looking for signs of deception but finding only what appeared to be genuine remorse. Regret is easy, Nathaniel. It doesn't change what happened. It doesn't change 6 years of raising your daughters alone. My daughters, he repeated softly, the words foreign but wonderful on his tongue. What are their names? She hesitated, as if sharing even this basic information was giving him something he didn't deserve. Sophia and Isabella. Sophia and Isabella, he echoed, testing the sounds. They're beautiful names. They're beautiful girls. They are, she agreed, her voice warming slightly when speaking about her children. They're smart and kind and funny. They deserve better than I've been able to give them. You've done an incredible job raising them. Anyone can see how much they love you, how well-behaved and happy they are. I've done my best, she said, and he heard the exhaustion behind her words. 6 years of carrying the full weight of parenthood alone, of making every decision and facing every challenge without a partner to share the load. I want to help, he said suddenly. I want to be part of their lives, part of your life. I know I don't deserve it, but they deserve to have a father. Camila's expression hardened again. Where were you when I was working 3 jobs to pay for daycare? Where were you when they were sick and I couldn't afford to miss work but couldn't leave them alone? Where were you when Isabella had nightmares and asked why she didn't have a daddy like other kids? Each question was like a knife to his chest, but he forced himself to listen, to really hear what his abandonment had cost them all. I was building a business, making money, telling myself I had made the right choice, he admitted. I was wrong. I was selfish and scared and wrong. And now you want to waltz back into our lives because you've decided you're ready to be a father? No, he said quickly. Not because I've decided I'm ready. Because I realize I should have been ready 6 years ago, and I want to make up for lost time. I want to do whatever it takes to earn your trust again. Camila laughed, but there was no humor in it. Trust? You think this is about trust? This is about my daughter's hearts, Nathaniel. They're 6 years old. They don't understand abandonment or adult mistakes. If you come into their lives now, you can't just leave again when things get difficult. I won't leave, he said with fierce intensity. I swear to you I will never leave them again. People make promises they can't keep all the time. I won't let you break their hearts the way you broke mine. The admission that he had broken her heart hung between them, raw and honest. He had known it intellectually, but hearing her say it made the reality of what he had done hit him with fresh force. Through the bathroom door, they could hear the twins giggling about something, their voices bright and carefree. The sound made both adults pause, remembering what this conversation was really about. They're happy, Camila said softly. We have a life, Nathaniel. It's not fancy or perfect, but it works. I won't let you disrupt that unless I'm absolutely certain you're here to stay. How can I prove that to you? What do I need to do? She looked at him for a long moment, this man who had once been everything to her and then became the source of her greatest pain. He looked older, more mature, but was he really different? Could people change that fundamentally? I don't know, she admitted. I honestly don't know if there's anything you could do that would convince me to take that risk. The bathroom door opened and the twins came skipping back, their hands still damp from washing. They climbed back into the booth, chattering about the funny soap dispenser and the mirror that made them look funny when they stood on tiptoe. Are you coming home with us? Sophia asked Nathaniel directly, with the fearless curiosity only children possess. Both adults froze. The question was so simple, so innocent, but it cut straight to the heart of everything they had just been discussing. Sophia, Camila said gently, remember we talked about not asking personal questions of people we just met? But he's not a stranger, Isabella protested. He's your friend from before we were born, right? From before we were born. If only they knew how accurate that statement was. Camila struggled for words that would be truthful but appropriate for 6-year-olds. He's someone I used to know very well. But he has his own life now and we have ours. But maybe he wants to be friends again, Sophia suggested with the optimism that only children possess. People can be friends again, right, Mommy? Nathaniel watched this exchange with growing amazement. His daughters, without knowing who he was, were advocating for him to be part of their lives. They saw no complications, no painful history, just the possibility of new friendship and connection. Sometimes people can be friends again, Camila agreed carefully. But it takes time and trust. We trust you, Isabella said to Nathaniel with the absolute faith of a child. If Mommy says you're okay, then you're okay. The weight of that innocent trust nearly brought him to his knees. These beautiful little girls, his daughters, were ready to welcome him with open hearts, not knowing he was the father who had abandoned them before birth. Your mommy is very smart, he managed to say around the lump in his throat. You should always listen to her. Camila's expression softened slightly at his response. At least he wasn't trying to undermine her authority or win the children over behind her back. We should really go now, she said, standing and gathering their things again. Mrs. Patterson is expecting us. This time, Nathaniel didn't try to delay them. He stood as well, pulling a business card from his wallet. This has my number, he said, offering it to Camila. If you ever need anything at all, please call me. No strings attached. I want to help if I can. Camila stared at the card for a long moment before taking it. Why now? What changed? I did, he said simply. I grew up. I realized that all the success in the world means nothing if you don't have people to share it with. I realized that I let fear cost me the most important things in life. The twins were watching this exchange with fascination, clearly sensing that something significant was happening even if they didn't understand what it was. Can we see you again? Sophia asked boldly. Nathaniel looked at Camila, waiting for her response. The decision was hers to make, and he would respect whatever she chose. Maybe, she said finally. We'll see. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. It was hope, fragile and uncertain, but hope nonetheless. As they walked toward the exit, Isabella turned back to wave at him. Bye, Nathaniel. Thank you for helping with our birthday. Yeah, thank you, Sophia added. It was the best birthday party ever. Then they were gone, leaving him standing in the middle of Danny's diner with his heart pounding and his mind racing. His daughters thought this had been the best birthday party ever, celebrated in a run-down diner with $50 and a small chocolate cake. He had work to do. 3 days later, Camila's phone rang while she was folding laundry in their small apartment. The twins were at school, giving her a rare moment of quiet in their otherwise chaotic life. She glanced at the caller ID and saw the number from Nathaniel's business card. She had stared at that card every day since their encounter at the diner, running her finger over the raised lettering that spelled out, Nathaniel Brooks, CO Brooks Investment Group. She had looked up his company online, shocked to discover just how successful he had become. Magazine articles called him a business prodigy, a man who had built an empire before his 30th birthday. The phone continued ringing. She could let it go to voicemail, pretend she had never seen him again, continue living their quiet life without complications. But something made her answer. Hello? Camila? It's Nathaniel. I hope you don't mind me calling. His voice was tentative, uncertain in a way that reminded her of the college student she had once loved. I don't mind. What did you want? I wanted to ask if I could take you and the girls to dinner. Somewhere nice. A proper celebration for their birthday. She closed her eyes, leaning against the kitchen counter. Nathaniel, I told you we need to take this slowly. I know. I'm not trying to rush anything. I keep thinking about what Sophia said about it being their best birthday ever. They deserve so much more than what I gave them the other day. You didn't give them anything the other day. I planned that party. I know, he said quietly. That's what I mean. I should have been the one planning their parties for the past 6 years. I should have been there for every birthday, every Christmas, every important moment. I can't change that, but maybe I can start now. Camila walked to the window, looking down at the playground where she had pushed the twins on swings countless times, usually exhausted from a double shift but determined to give them normal childhood experiences. Why didn't you try to contact me sooner? She asked. You said you've been looking for me, but you're obviously successful enough to have found me if you really wanted to. There was a long pause before he answered. Because I was a coward. Because I was ashamed of what I had done and afraid you would tell me to go to hell. Because I convinced myself you were better off without me. We were better off without you, she said, but there was less venom in it than she intended. Were you? He asked gently. Because from what I could see the other day you've been struggling. Working yourself to the bone to provide for them while I've been living in luxury. The observation stung because it was true. She was tired, bone-deep exhausted from 6 years of carrying everything alone. But admitting that felt like admitting failure. We've managed just fine. I know you have. You've done an incredible job. But you shouldn't have had to do it alone. She heard the twins' voices in the hallway, home from school earlier than usual. I have to go. The girls are back. Camila, wait. Please. Just dinner. Let me do this one thing for them. The apartment door burst open and Sophia and Isabella ran in, dropping their backpacks and chattering about their day. They froze when they saw their mother on the phone, instinctively knowing it was something important. Who's that, Mommy? Isabella whispered loudly. Camila made a decision that surprised even herself. It's Nathaniel. He wants to take us to dinner. Both girls erupted in excitement, jumping up and down and talking over each other. The nice man from our birthday? Can we go, can we go? Is he really our friend now? Their enthusiasm made Camila's heart ache. When was the last time someone had offered to take them somewhere nice? When was the last time the twins had something to look forward to that didn't depend entirely on her exhausted efforts? Okay, she said into the phone. We'll have dinner with you. But somewhere family-friendly and we pay our own way. Camila. Those are my terms. Take them or leave them. She heard him sigh. I'll take them. But I'm paying for dinner whether you like it or not. It's not charity, it's It's what I should have been doing all along. They arranged to meet the next evening at Antonio's, a nice Italian restaurant that was a step up from their usual dining experiences but not so fancy that the twins would feel out of place. After she hung up, Sophia and Isabella bombarded her with questions. "Is he your boyfriend?" Sophia asked with 6-year-old directness. "No, sweetheart. He's just a friend I used to know." "But you look sad when you talk about him," Isabella observed with the intuitive wisdom children sometimes possess. Camila sat down on their worn couch and pulled both girls into her lap. "Sometimes grown-ups have complicated feelings about people from their past. But that doesn't mean anything bad will happen, okay? Do you think he likes us?" Sophia asked. "I think he likes you very much," Camila answered honestly. "Good," Isabella declared with satisfaction. "Because we like him too. He has kind eyes." That night, after the twins were asleep in their bunk beds, Camila called her best friend Rebecca. "You're going to dinner with him?" Rebecca's voice was sharp with concern. "Camila, are you insane?" "Probably," Camila admitted, pacing around her small living room. "But you should have seen how excited the girls got. They never get to go anywhere nice." "And whose fault is that?" Rebecca demanded. "Where was Mr. Kind Eyes when you were eating ramen noodles for 3 meals a day so the twins could have real food?" Rebecca had been her rock through the hardest years, the friend who had babysat when Camila couldn't afford childcare, who had brought groceries when money was tight, who had held her while she cried from exhaustion and loneliness. "I know all that," Camila said. "But maybe people can change. Maybe he really is different now. And maybe he'll break your heart again and disappear for another 6 years." "My heart is already broken," Camila said quietly. "It broke 6 years ago and never fully healed. But this isn't about me. It's about Sophia and Isabella. They deserve to have a father if he's really willing to be one. And if he's not? If he decides being a part-time dad is too hard and bails again." It was the fear that kept Camila awake at night. Her daughters were old enough now to form attachments, to be hurt by abandonment. If Nathaniel came into their lives and then left again, it would devastate them. "Then I'll pick up the pieces like I always do," she said with more confidence than she felt. "You don't have to do this alone, you know," Rebecca said gently. "If you decide to give him a chance, I'll be here to help you through it. And if he hurts you or those babies again, I'll personally make his life miserable." Camila smiled despite her anxiety. "I know you will. That's why I love you." The next evening, she stood in front of her closet trying to decide what to wear to dinner with the father of her children. She had exactly 3 outfits that qualified as nice, and all of them were at least 2 years old. Finally, she settled on a maroon dress that brought out the warmth in her skin tone and made her feel confident. The twins wore their matching red dresses again, their hair carefully braided with colorful ribbons. They chattered excitedly during the bus ride to the restaurant, asking endless questions about where they were going and what they would eat. Nathaniel was waiting for them outside Antonio's, wearing dark jeans and a green button-down shirt that was casual enough not to intimidate the girls but expensive enough to remind Camila of the gulf between their lives. When he saw them approaching, his face lit up with genuine joy. "You all look beautiful," he said and meant it. Sophia twirled to show off her dress. "Mommy braided our hair special." "She did a wonderful job," he agreed, holding the restaurant door open for them. Inside, the hostess led them to a table by the window. The twins stared in wide-eyed wonder at the cloth tablecloths, real flowers and fancy water glasses. This was easily the nicest restaurant they had ever been to. "This is like a princess place," Isabella whispered in awe. Nathaniel's heart clenched at her innocent amazement. His daughters should have been experiencing places like this regularly, should have taken such things for granted instead of treating them as magical adventures. As they settled into their seats and looked at menus, he realized this was more than just dinner. This was his chance to start being the father he should have been all along, and he was terrified of messing it up. But looking at Camila's cautious smile and his daughter's excited faces, he also felt something he hadn't experienced in years. "Oh, are you rooting for this family to find their way back to each other? Have you ever given someone a second chance after they hurt you? Let me know in the comments what you think Nathaniel needs to do to prove himself, and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter of this emotional journey." The dinner at Antonio's transformed from tentative reunion to genuine family bonding as the evening progressed. Sophia and Isabella, initially awed by the elegant surroundings, soon relaxed into their natural chatter, telling Nathaniel about school, their friends and their pet fish Bubbles. "Bubbles does tricks," Sophia announced proudly, twirling spaghetti around her fork with careful concentration. "He swims through hoops." "Really?" Nathaniel asked, genuinely interested. What kind of hoops? Mommy made them from pipe cleaners, Isabella explained. She makes lots of things for us. She's really good at crafts. Nathaniel glanced at Camila, who was quietly eating her chicken parmesan with the careful manners of someone who didn't often dine in nice restaurants. He was learning so much about the life she had built for their daughters, a life full of creativity and love despite limited resources. Your mom sounds very talented, he said. She is, Sophia agreed emphatically. She fixes everything when it breaks, and she reads us stories in different voices, and she makes the best mac and cheese in the whole world. Camila's cheeks flushed slightly at her daughter's enthusiastic praise. They're easily impressed. I don't think so, Nathaniel said softly, meeting her eyes across the table. I think they know quality when they see it. The compliment caught her off guard, and she looked away, focusing on cutting her chicken into precise pieces. She had forgotten how Nathaniel could make her feel seen and appreciated with just a few words. It was dangerous to remember. Tell me about school, Nathaniel said, turning back to the twins. What's your favorite subject? Reading, both girls answered simultaneously, then giggled at their identical response. We're in the advanced reading group, Isabella added with pride. Mommy reads to us every night before bed, Sophia explained. Even when she's really tired from work. Another detail that painted a picture of Camila's dedication to her daughters. Even after long shifts at the hospital, she made time for bedtime stories. Nathaniel felt the familiar stab of guilt but pushed it aside. Tonight was about building something new, not dwelling on past mistakes. What kind of stories do you like? He asked. Adventure stories, Sophia said immediately. Fairy tales, Isabella countered. Both, Camila said diplomatically. We alternate between different types of books so they get exposed to everything. As the meal continued, Nathaniel found himself falling in love with his daughters' personalities. Sophia was bold and outgoing, quick to share opinions and ask direct questions. Isabella was gentler, more observant, but equally intelligent. Both girls were polite and well-behaved, clear evidence of their mother's careful parenting. When the waitress offered dessert menus, the twins' eyes widened with excitement. Can we, Mommy? Sophia asked hopefully. Camila hesitated, probably calculating the cost in her head. We're already having such a big dinner. Please, Nathaniel interjected gently. Let me order dessert for everyone. It's a celebration. What are we celebrating? Isabella asked curiously. Good question, Nathaniel thought. What were they celebrating? The fact that he had finally found them? The possibility of becoming a family? Or simply the fact that they were all together in this moment? We're celebrating new friendships, Camila said carefully, and he understood she was giving him a gift by framing it that way for the children. The twins chose chocolate cake to share, while Camila opted for tiramisu. Nathaniel didn't order anything, content to watch his family enjoy their treats. Family. The word felt foreign but right in his mind. This is the most delicious thing I've ever eaten, Sophia declared around a mouthful of chocolate cake. Better than Mommy's mac and cheese? Isabella teased. Different delicious, Sophia clarified diplomatically. As they ate dessert, Nathaniel made a decision. I have something I'd like to ask you all. 3 pairs of eyes looked at him expectantly. There's a children's museum about an hour from here that has a special exhibit on butterflies. I was wondering if you'd like to go this weekend. The twins erupted in excitement, but Camila's expression grew wary. Nathaniel, you don't need to. I want to, he said firmly. If you're comfortable with it, I'd love to spend more time with all of you. Can we, Mommy? Isabella pleaded. We've never been to a museum before. The admission broke Nathaniel's heart. Simple childhood experiences that most kids took for granted were special adventures for his daughters because Camila couldn't afford them. We could pack a lunch and make a whole day of it, he continued. There's also a park nearby with a playground. Camila studied his face, looking for hidden motives or signs of insincerity. But all she saw was genuine enthusiasm and what looked like hope. Okay, she said finally. We can go to the museum. The twins cheered, bouncing in their seats with excitement. Other diners turned to smile at their obvious joy, and Nathaniel felt a warmth spreading through his chest that he had never experienced before. This was what it felt like to make his children happy. But, Camila added, holding up one finger, I pay for our admission and food. Camila. Those are my terms, she said firmly, using the same words from their phone conversation. He wanted to argue, wanted to tell her that he had more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes and that providing for his daughters was his responsibility. But he recognized the stubborn set of her jaw and knew that pushing would only make her dig in deeper. All right, he agreed. But I pay for gas in my car since I'm driving. She considered this and nodded. That's fair. As they prepared to leave the restaurant, Nathaniel excused himself to speak privately with the waitress. When he returned, Camila was helping the twins put on their light jackets. Ready to go? She asked. They walked outside together and Nathaniel led them to a silver SUV parked nearby. The twins were impressed by the size and cleanliness of the vehicle, so different from the buses they usually rode. This car is really big, Sophia observed, climbing into the back seat. It has cup holders in the back, Isabella added with wonder. Such simple things to be amazed by, Nathaniel thought. His heart ached for all the ordinary luxuries his daughters had never experienced. The drive back to their neighborhood was filled with chatter about the upcoming museum trip. The twins planned what they would see and do, their excitement infectious. Camila remained quiet, but Nathaniel caught her smiling at their enthusiasm in the rearview mirror. When they pulled up to their apartment building, he got out to walk them to the door. The building was older, not unsafe but clearly low-income housing. The hallways were clean but worn, and he could hear televisions and conversations through thin walls. This is us, Camila said, stopping at apartment 2B. Thank you for dinner, Isabella said politely, giving Nathaniel an unexpected hug around his waist. Sophia followed suit, and the feeling of his daughter's small arms around him nearly brought him to his knees. This was what he had given up, these precious moments of innocent affection. Thank you for taking us somewhere so fancy, Sophia said. It felt like a fairy tale. After the girls went inside to get ready for bed, Camila lingered in the doorway. They had a wonderful time, she said quietly. So did I. More than I can express. She studied his face in the dim hallway light. They're going to get attached to you if you keep this up. Is that a bad thing? It is if you're not planning to stick around. He stepped closer, close enough to see the flecks of gold in her brown eyes. I told you I'm not going anywhere. I know you don't believe me yet, but I'll prove it to you. How? By showing up. By being consistent. By putting them first in every decision I make from now on. She was quiet for a long moment. They really are wonderful kids. They're incredible. And that's entirely because of you. The compliment hung between them, loaded with history and possibility. I should go in, she said finally. They need their baths and bedtime story. Of course. I'll call you about the museum? She nodded and started to close the door, then paused. Nathaniel? Thank you. For dinner, for being kind to them, for wanting to try. Before he could respond, she was gone, leaving him standing in the hallway with his heart full of hope and determination. He had a family to win back and he wasn't going to let them down again. Saturday morning arrived with unseasonably warm weather and the twins barely contained excitement. Camila had been awake since 5, partly from anticipation and partly from anxiety. She watched Sophia and Isabella carefully choose their outfits for their first museum trip, settling on matching blue sundresses with white sandals. Do you think we'll see real butterflies? Isabella asked for the 10th time while Camila braided her hair. The website said some are alive and some are displays, Camila answered patiently. Either way, it'll be educational and fun. She had spent the week researching the museum online at the library, wanting to be prepared and make sure it was appropriate for the twins. The guilt of not being able to take them to places like this herself still gnawed at her, but she was trying to focus on the positive. Her daughters were going to have a wonderful experience and that's what mattered. Nathaniel arrived precisely at 9 as promised. The twins ran to the window when they heard his car door close, pressing their faces against the glass to wave at him. He's here, Sophia announced unnecessarily. Camila checked her reflection one more time in the bathroom mirror. She wore a comfortable yellow dress that brought out the warmth in her skin tone, with flat sandals suitable for walking. She had packed a cooler with sandwiches, fruit and juice boxes, determined to contribute to their day despite Nathaniel's obvious wealth. When she opened the door, Nathaniel stood in the hallway holding a small gift bag. Good morning, he said, his smile warm and genuine. I brought something for the girls. Nathaniel, you don't need to buy them things, Camila protested gently. It's just something small for the car ride, he assured her. The twins crowded around eagerly as he presented them with coloring books about butterflies and new sets of crayons. Now you can draw all the butterflies you see today, he explained. Thank you, they chorused, already flipping through the pages with delight. The drive to the museum was filled with games of I Spy and silly songs that the twins taught Nathaniel. Camila found herself relaxing as she watched him interact with Sophia and Isabella. He was patient with their questions, enthusiastic about their games, and genuinely interested in their observations about the world passing by their windows. "Look, Mommy," Isabella pointed out her window. "That cow is the same color as chocolate milk." "You're very observant," Nathaniel said, glancing at her in the rearview mirror. "Do you want to be an artist when you grow up?" "Maybe," Isabella said thoughtfully. "Or a teacher. Or a butterfly scientist." "A lepidopterist," he supplied, and she repeated the word carefully, proud to learn something new. The museum exceeded even Camilla's expectations. The butterfly conservatory was a warm, humid environment filled with tropical plants and hundreds of live butterflies in every color imaginable. The twins were enchanted, moving slowly through the space with wide eyes and careful steps. "Look but don't touch," Camilla reminded them, though they were already being naturally cautious. A brilliant blue butterfly landed on Sophia's shoulder, causing her to freeze in delighted terror. "Mommy, what do I do?" "Just stand very still and let it rest," a museum volunteer suggested, approaching with a smile. "You must be very calm and peaceful for it to choose you." The butterfly stayed for several minutes while Isabella took pictures with the disposable camera Nathaniel had bought in the gift shop. When it finally flew away, Sophia beamed with pride. "It picked me," she announced. "Out of all the people here, it picked me." They spent 2 hours exploring the different exhibits, learning about butterfly life cycles, migration patterns, and conservation efforts. The twins absorbed information like sponges, asking intelligent questions and making connections between what they learned and things they had observed in their own neighborhood. "The monarchs that come to our playground must be on their way to Mexico," Isabella concluded after studying a migration map. "That's exactly right," Nathaniel confirmed, impressed by her reasoning skills. For lunch, they found a shaded picnic area in the adjacent park. Camilla unpacked their sandwiches while Nathaniel contributed drinks and chips from the museum cafe. The twins chattered excitedly about everything they had seen, their coloring books already half filled with interpretations of the butterflies they had encountered. "This is better than TV," Sophia declared, biting into her peanut butter and jelly sandwich. "Everything's better when you experience it yourself," Camilla agreed, catching Nathaniel's eye across the picnic table. He was watching their family with such intensity that it made her slightly uncomfortable. After lunch, they discovered a playground where the twins could burn off some energy. Nathaniel pushed them on swings while Camilla sat on a nearby bench, allowing herself to simply observe. He was surprisingly natural with children, matching their enthusiasm without being overwhelming, offering help when needed but letting them be independent when possible. "Higher, higher," Sophia called from her swing. "Hold on tight," he cautioned, giving her another push. "Look at me, Nathaniel," Isabella called from the monkey bars hanging by her arms. "I see you," he called back. "You're very strong." The simple interactions filled Camilla with unexpected emotion. Her daughters were experiencing something she had dreamed about but never dared hope for, the attention and encouragement of a father figure who genuinely cared about their achievements. When they finally returned to the car, both twins were tired but happy, clutching their coloring books and small butterfly magnets Nathaniel had purchased from the gift shop despite Camilla's protests. "That was the best day ever," Isabella announced sleepily from her car seat. "Better than Christmas," Sophia agreed, her eyes already drooping. Both girls fell asleep during the drive home, exhausted from their adventure. In the quiet car, Camilla found herself really talking to Nathaniel for the first time since their reunion. "They had an amazing time," she said softly, not wanting to wake them. "So did I," he replied. "I can't remember the last time I enjoyed a day this much." "Really? With all your success and money, you can't think of anything that made you happier than watching 6-year-olds look at butterflies?" He was quiet for a moment, considering her question seriously. "Success is hollow when you don't have anyone to share it with. I've spent 6 years building an empire, but today was the first time I felt like I had accomplished something meaningful." The sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. She had expected him to be different now, harder or more arrogant, but instead he seemed more vulnerable than the young man she had once known. "Why didn't you have children with someone else?" she asked, surprising herself with the personal question. "I dated other people," he admitted. "But I never felt with anyone else what I felt with you. And after seeing Sophia and Isabella today, I realize why. They were the children I was supposed to have. You were the woman I was supposed to build a life with. I was just too stupid and scared to see it at the time." Camilla stared out the passenger window, processing his words. "You can't just show up after 6 years and expect everything to go back to the way it was." "I don't expect that," he said quickly. "I know we can't go back. But maybe we can build something new, something better. For their sake." When they reached the apartment building, Nathaniel helped carry the sleeping twins upstairs. Sophia stirred as he laid her on the bottom bunk. "Thank you for the butterflies," she mumbled sleepily. "Thank you for spending the day with me," he whispered back. Isabella didn't wake up at all as he tucked her into the top bunk, but she smiled in her sleep when he gently brushed her hair away from her face. At the door, Camila struggled with how to end the day. "They'll want to see you again," she warned. "And I want to see them. Is that okay?" She studied his face, looking for signs of insincerity but finding only hope and determination. "We'll see," she said, using her standard non-committal response. But as she watched him drive away, she realized her walls were slowly crumbling. Despite her determination to protect herself and her daughters, Nathaniel was proving to be different from the scared young man who had run away 6 years ago. The question was whether she was brave enough to believe in that change. 2 weeks later, Nathaniel had become a regular part of their lives in ways that both thrilled and terrified Camila. He showed up for Sophia's parent-teacher conference when Camila had to work late, charmed Mrs. Patterson by fixing her leaky faucet, and somehow convinced Rebecca to like him by bringing her favorite coffee from an expensive downtown cafe. "I still don't trust him completely," Rebecca admitted to Camila during one of their weekly phone calls. "But I have to admit he's putting in the effort. The man drove across town at 7 in the morning just to bring me a latte. That shows dedication." Camila was folding laundry while they talked, sorting the twins' clothes into neat piles. "The girls adore him already. It scares me how attached they're getting." "And what about you? Are you getting attached too?" That was the question Camila had been avoiding. Watching Nathaniel interact with Sophia and Isabella was awakening feelings she had buried years ago. The way he listened intently to their stories, the patience he showed when they interrupted him with endless questions, the genuine joy on his face when he made them laugh, it all reminded her why she had fallen in love with him in the first place. "I'm trying to stay focused on what's best for the twins," she said, which wasn't really an answer. "That's not what I asked." Before Camila could respond, her apartment door burst open and the twins ran in, chattering excitedly about their day at school. Nathaniel followed more slowly, carrying their backpacks and wearing the slightly overwhelmed expression of someone who had just spent 30 minutes with 2 enthusiastic 6-year-olds. "Mommy, Nathaniel picked us up from school and we went to the park and fed the ducks, and I think one of them really liked me because it kept following me around," Sophia announced in one breathless sentence. "And there was a baby duck that was so fluffy," Isabella added, climbing onto the couch beside her mother. "Nathaniel said baby ducks are called ducklings." "That's right," Camila confirmed, shooting him a grateful look. Picking up the girls from school was usually complicated for her, requiring careful coordination with her work schedule and sometimes involving expensive cab rides when the bus was late. "I have to go," she said to Rebecca, who had been listening to the chaos with amusement. "I'll call you later." After hanging up, she found Nathaniel in the kitchen, examining the contents of her refrigerator with a concerned expression. "You don't have much food here," he observed. "We have enough," she said defensively, moving to stand beside him. "I go shopping on Fridays when I get paid." The refrigerator contained milk that would expire tomorrow, some leftover pasta, a few apples, and the basics for sandwiches. It wasn't empty, but it wasn't exactly abundant either. "I could take you grocery shopping," he offered carefully. "Help you stock up on some things." "We don't need your charity, Nathaniel." "It's not charity," he said, closing the refrigerator door and turning to face her. "It's a father providing for his children. There's a difference." The word father hung between them, loaded with implications they hadn't fully discussed. Were they ready to have that conversation? Were the twins ready to know the truth? "They don't know who you are yet," she said quietly. "I know. But they will eventually, right? I mean, that's where this is heading." Camila looked through the doorway at Sophia and Isabella, who were showing each other drawings from school and giggling about something their teacher had said. They were so innocent, so trusting. The thought of disrupting their peaceful world with complicated adult truths made her stomach clench with anxiety. "I don't know," she admitted. "I haven't thought that far ahead. Maybe it's time we did." Before she could respond, Isabella appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Nathaniel, can you stay for dinner? Mommy makes really good spaghetti." Camila opened her mouth to explain that they didn't have enough food for an extra person, but Nathaniel spoke first. "I would love to stay for dinner. In fact, why don't we all go to the grocery store first and pick out ingredients together? We could make it a family cooking project." The word family made Camila's heart skip, but the twins were already bouncing with excitement at the suggestion. "Can we, Mommy? Can we pick out our own pasta shapes?" Looking at their eager faces, Camila realized she was fighting a losing battle. Her daughters were already treating Nathaniel like family, and maybe it was time she stopped resisting the inevitable. "All right," she said. "But we're making a budget and sticking to it." The grocery store trip turned into an adventure. Nathaniel pushed the cart while the twins took turns selecting items from Camila's carefully planned list. He didn't object when she chose generic brands over name brands, or when she calculated the price per unit on different sizes of the same product. But he did quietly add things to the cart when she wasn't looking. Better bread, fresh fruit, ice cream for dessert. When she noticed and started to protest, he gave her a look that said, "Please let me do this," and she found herself backing down. "The girls need proper nutrition," he said when they were alone in the cereal aisle. "I can afford to buy them good food. Please don't let your pride get in the way of their health." It was a low blow, using her love for her daughters against her pride, but it was also effective. She wanted Sophia and Isabella to have the best of everything, and if that meant accepting help from their father, maybe she needed to swallow her stubborn independence. Back at the apartment, cooking dinner became a chaotic but joyful affair. The twins helped measure ingredients while Nathaniel chopped vegetables under Camila's supervision. He was surprisingly competent in the kitchen, explaining that he had learned to cook out of necessity during his bachelor years. "You just have to be patient and follow directions," he told Sophia, who was struggling to stir the sauce without splashing. "Like Mommy always says," Isabella agreed. "Measure twice, cut once." "That's for sewing and crafts, silly," Sophia corrected. "It works for cooking too," Camila said diplomatically. They ate at the small kitchen table, the twins chattering about school while the adults listened and occasionally contributed to the conversation. It felt natural, comfortable, like they had been doing this for years instead of weeks. After dinner, while Camila gave the twins their baths, Nathaniel cleaned the kitchen without being asked. She found him loading the dishwasher with the same careful precision he probably applied to business deals. "You don't have to do that," she said. "I want to. This is what families do for each other." There was that word again. Family. "Is that what we are?" she asked quietly. He stopped loading dishes and turned to look at her. "I'd like us to be. If you're willing to give us that chance." Before she could answer, the twins called from the bathroom, needing help with their hair. By the time she got them settled with their bedtime story, Nathaniel was putting the last clean dishes away. "Thank you," she said, meaning more than just the kitchen cleanup. "Thank you for letting me be part of this," he replied. "For giving me a chance to be the father I should have been from the beginning." As he prepared to leave, both twins hugged him goodnight with the easy affection of children who felt secure in his presence. "Will you come to our school play next week?" Sophia asked. "We're both trees in the forest." Nathaniel looked at Camila, who nodded her permission. "I wouldn't miss it," he promised. After he was gone and the girls were asleep, Camila sat in her small living room thinking about how much their lives had changed in just a few weeks. Nathaniel was becoming the partner she had always needed, the father Sophia and Isabella deserved, and the man she was trying not to fall in love with all over again. But could she trust that this version of him was real and permanent? Or was she setting all three of them up for another devastating abandonment? Only time would tell, but for the first time in 6 years, Camila was allowing herself to hope. 3 months had passed since that fateful day at Danny's diner, and autumn was painting the city in shades of gold and crimson. Nathaniel had become such a constant presence in their lives that the twins automatically set a fourth place at dinner, and Mrs. Patterson had started including him in her neighborhood gossip as if he had always lived there. Camila was getting ready for work, trying to find her second nursing shoe, when her phone rang. The caller ID showed her supervisor's number, which usually meant bad news. "Camila, I hate to do this to you last minute, but Janet called in sick and we're short-staffed for the overnight shift. Can you stay for a double?" Camila closed her eyes, calculating in her head. A double shift meant working until 7 in the morning, then having just enough time to get home, shower, and take the twins to their Saturday soccer games. She would be exhausted, but the overtime pay would help with Isabella's upcoming dental appointment. "Of course," she said, because she always said yes when they needed her. After hanging up, she called Nathaniel to let him know she wouldn't be home until morning and to ask if he could pick up the girls from Mrs. Patterson's apartment. "Actually," he said, and she could hear papers shuffling in the background, "what if they just stay with me tonight? I could pick them up after school, we could have dinner, and I'll bring them home in the morning." Camila hesitated. The twins had never spent the night away from her, except for the occasional sleepover at Rebecca's house. But they adored Nathaniel and she trusted him completely now. "They don't have overnight bags or..." "We can stop by your place to get what they need," he said. "Unless you're not comfortable with it." I understand if it's too soon. No, it's fine, she decided. They'll love it. Just make sure they brush their teeth and don't let them stay up too late. I promise to follow all bedtime rules, he said solemnly, making her smile. That evening, while Camila was managing a particularly busy night in the emergency room, Nathaniel was discovering the complexities of bedtime routines. The twins had been delighted by the prospect of sleeping at his apartment, a spacious downtown loft that seemed like a palace compared to their small home. Your bed is as big as our whole room, Sophia observed, bouncing on the king-size mattress in his bedroom. Can we sleep here with you? Isabella asked hopefully. The request caught him off guard. He had assumed they would use the guest room, but looking at their hopeful faces, he realized they wanted the comfort of staying close to him in this unfamiliar environment. If that's what you want, he agreed. We can have a sleepover. They brushed their teeth in his master bathroom, marveling at the double sinks and soaking tub. He helped them into their matching pajamas, blue ones with little stars that Camila had packed, and listened patiently while they debated which stuffed animals should sleep where. Mommy usually reads us a story, Sophia mentioned as they settled into the big bed, one twin on each side of him. I don't have any children's books, he realized with dismay. I'm sorry, I didn't think. That's okay, Isabella said generously. You can make up a story. Make one up. The prospect terrified him more than any business presentation he had ever given. Just pick some characters and tell us what happens to them, Sophia explained patiently. Like, once upon a time, there were two little girls who found a magic butterfly. Taking her lead, Nathaniel created a rambling tale about twin sisters who discovered that butterflies could carry messages between the human world and a magical garden. The girls listened with wide eyes, occasionally offering suggestions or corrections, until their breathing grew slow and steady. As he watched his daughters sleep peacefully beside him, Nathaniel felt a profound shift in his understanding of what truly mattered in life. All his business success, his expensive possessions, his carefully planned future, none of it meant anything compared to this moment of perfect contentment. He had been wrong about so many things 6 years ago. He had thought a family would limit his potential, when in reality having people to love and protect gave his life meaning and purpose he had never imagined possible. The next morning he woke to find Isabella curled against his side and Sophia sprawled across the foot of the bed, both sleeping deeply. For a moment he just lay there absorbing the miracle of it all. These were his children, his family, and somehow, miraculously, they loved him despite everything. He made pancakes for breakfast, with the twins standing on chairs to help flip them. They giggled when one pancake turned out lopsided, and Sophia declared it looked like a butterfly with a broken wing. We should save it for Mommy, Isabella suggested. She likes butterflies. When they arrived home, Camila was just getting out of the shower, exhausted from her double shift but smiling when she heard their voices in the living room. How was your first sleepover? She asked, hugging both twins. Nathaniel made up a story about magic butterflies, Sophia reported. And his bed is really, really big, Isabella added. We had pancakes shaped like animals for breakfast, Sophia continued. Listening to their enthusiastic recap, Camila felt a familiar pang. Another first experience that Nathaniel had given them instead of her. But she pushed the jealousy aside, focusing instead on how happy they looked. It sounds like you had a wonderful time, she said warmly. We did, Nathaniel confirmed, appearing in the doorway. But they missed you. They kept asking when you were coming home. The twins nodded solemnly. Next time you work all night, you should come stay with Nathaniel too, Sophia suggested with 6-year-old logic. Both adults looked at each other, caught off guard by the innocent suggestion that they all live together. That's not how it works, sweetheart, Camila said gently. Why not? Isabella asked with genuine curiosity. How do you explain to children that adult relationships are complicated? That trust takes time to rebuild? That even though they were acting like a family, she and Nathaniel hadn't defined what they actually were to each other? Because Mommy and I are still figuring things out, Nathaniel answered carefully. But we both love you very much and we're going to keep spending time together. After the twins went to play in their room, Camila and Nathaniel found themselves alone in the kitchen. The domestic scene felt both natural and surreal, him making coffee while she sorted through mail, like a real couple managing their household. I need to tell you something, he said suddenly, his voice serious enough to make her look up from the electric bill she was studying. What is it? He set down his coffee mug and turned to face her fully. I've been restructuring my business. Delegating more responsibilities, hiring additional management, scaling back my personal involvement in day-to-day operations. Why? She asked, though she suspected she knew. Because I want to be present for this family. Really present. Not just showing up for the fun parts, but being here for school plays and sick days and homework help and all the ordinary moments that make up a life. Camila stared at him, processing what he was saying. You're changing your entire career for us? I'm changing my priorities, he corrected. The business will still succeed, but it doesn't need to consume my whole life anymore. You and the girls deserve better than leftover time and divided attention. The sincerity in his voice made her chest tight with emotion. Nathaniel? I know you're still not sure about us, he continued. I know I have to prove myself every day to earn back your trust. But I want you to know that this is permanent for me. You three are my family, and nothing will ever be more important than that again. Before she could respond, Sophia and Isabella burst into the kitchen, carrying a drawing they had made together. Look what we drew, Isabella announced, holding up a picture of 4 stick figures holding hands in front of a house. It's our family. The figures were clearly labeled in crayon: Mommy, Sophia, Isabella, and Nathaniel. In the corner they had drawn Bubbles the fish in his bowl, and the sky was filled with colorful butterflies. It's beautiful, Camila managed, her voice thick with emotion. Can we put it on the refrigerator? Sophia asked. As Nathaniel helped them find magnets to display their artwork, Camila realized that her daughters had already made the decision she was still struggling with. In their innocent hearts, they were already a complete family. The question was whether she was brave enough to believe it could really be that simple. 6 months later, Camila stood in front of the bathroom mirror in a beautiful white dress, her hands trembling slightly as she fastened her grandmother's pearl necklace. Through the bedroom window, she could see guests gathering in the garden of Nathaniel's house, their house now, for the intimate wedding ceremony they had planned. Mommy, you look like a princess, Isabella said from the doorway, resplendent in her burgundy flower girl dress. A real princess, Sophia agreed, appearing beside her sister in an identical outfit. Both girls wore small tiaras that Nathaniel had surprised them with, making them feel special and important on this momentous day. Rebecca appeared behind them, elegant in navy blue and carrying Camila's bouquet of white roses and baby's breath. The photographer wants a few pictures before we head downstairs, she said, then added more softly, you look absolutely radiant. As they posed for photos, Camila reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. After Nathaniel's declaration 6 months ago, things had moved quickly but naturally. The twins had started calling him Daddy without any formal discussion, simply accepting him as the father they had always wanted. He had moved them into his house, giving each girl her own bedroom while keeping all of Camila's furniture and decorations to help them feel at home. The transition hadn't been without challenges. There were moments when Camila's old fears resurfaced, when she waited for him to realize that family life was harder than he had imagined and walk away again. But Nathaniel proved himself over and over, showing up for every important moment and plenty of ordinary ones too. He attended parent-teacher conferences and ballet recitals, bandaged scraped knees and helped with homework, read bedtime stories and made Saturday morning pancakes. When Sophia had nightmares, he was there to comfort her. When Isabella got sick with flu, he stayed up all night monitoring her fever. He wasn't just playing house, he was genuinely committed to being the father his daughters needed. More than that, he had become the partner Camila had always dreamed of. He supported her career, encouraging her to apply for a promotion to head nurse that she had been too intimidated to pursue before. He shared household responsibilities without being asked, and he listened to her thoughts and opinions with the respect of someone who valued her intelligence and judgment. Ready? Rebecca asked, straightening Camila's veil one last time. Camila took a deep breath, looking at her daughters' excited faces in the mirror. Ready? The garden was transformed with white flowers and twinkling lights, creating a magical setting for their family and friends. Mrs. Patterson sat in the front row, dabbing at her eyes with a lace handkerchief. James Sullivan, who had become not just Nathaniel's business partner but a genuine friend, stood as best man. A small group of Camila's nursing colleagues and a few of Nathaniel's friends completed the intimate gathering. As the musicians began playing, Sophia and Isabella walked down the aisle first, scattering rose petals with serious concentration. The guests chuckled at their careful attention to duty, making sure every petal was perfectly placed. Then the music changed and Camila appeared at the back of the garden. Nathaniel, handsome in his charcoal gray suit, turned to watch her approach with an expression of such love and wonder that it took her breath away. Walking toward him, Camila remembered that scared young woman who had found herself pregnant and alone 6 years ago. She had never imagined that her story would lead to this moment, to this man who had grown into someone worthy of her love and their daughter's trust. When she reached the altar, Nathaniel took her hands in his and she could see tears in his eyes. "You're beautiful," he whispered. The ceremony was simple but meaningful. They had written their own vows, promising not just to love each other but to be the family their daughters deserved. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Sophia and Isabella cheered loudly, making everyone laugh. During the reception, the twins insisted on giving their own toast. Standing on chairs so everyone could see them, they held plastic cups of sparkling grape juice and spoke with the serious tone of experienced public speakers. "We're really happy that Daddy married Mommy," Sophia announced. "Now we're a real family forever. And Daddy makes really good pancakes," Isabella added, causing another round of laughter. As evening fell and the guests began to leave, Nathaniel found Camila sitting on the porch swing, watching Sophia and Isabella catch fireflies in the garden with some of their young cousins. "Happy?" he asked, settling beside her. "Incredibly happy," she confirmed, leaning against his shoulder. "Sometimes I can't believe this is real." "It's real," he assured her, wrapping his arm around her. "And it's permanent. We're never going to be apart again." The twins ran over, breathless from their game and glowing with excitement. "Daddy, can we stay up late since it's a special day?" Sophia asked hopefully. "Please?" Isabella added with her most winning smile. Nathaniel looked at Camila, who nodded with amusement. 30 extra minutes, he negotiated. "But then it's definitely bedtime." As they went inside to start the bedtime routine, Camila marveled at how natural it all felt. This was their family, their home, their life together. The scared young man who had run away from responsibility had become a devoted husband and father, and the struggling single mother had found her happy ending. Later that night, after the twins were tucked into their beds and the last dishes were cleared away, Camila and Nathaniel sat on their porch together, wedding rings gleaming in the moonlight. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we hadn't run into each other at Danny's diner?" Camila asked. "I try not to think about it," he admitted. "I wasted 6 years being afraid and stupid. I don't want to waste any more time on regrets." "No regrets," she agreed. "Just gratitude for second chances and new beginnings." As they sat together in comfortable silence, listening to the night sounds of their neighborhood, both of them knew that this was exactly where they belonged. They had found their way back to each other and built something stronger than what they had lost. Their love story had started with a $50 birthday party and a chance encounter, but it would continue for the rest of their lives, filled with ordinary moments made extraordinary by the simple fact that they were together. And in their house, 2 little girls slept peacefully, surrounded by the security of knowing they were loved completely by both of their parents, the mother who had never given up on them and the father who had finally found his way home. Their family was complete at last. The end. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe for more heartwarming tales of love, forgiveness, and second chances. Have you ever believed someone deserved a second chance? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might inspire our next tale.